Hello fish fools, Jeff here. So this is my 6-foot 84-gallon community display tank. There's over a dozen different species of fish in here, and at some point in a future video I'm going to do a thorough update on the entire tank, talking about all the different fish. But today I'm going to talk about emerald green Corydoras, and that's because babies. So earlier this week I submitted several videos of them breeding, and I collected eggs and put them in that breeder box, and they just hatched out today. So there's tiny little speck babies, little fry in there, and it was just after I took out the breeder box. So from the last time they spawned, or that I witnessed them spawn where I collected eggs, I put them in the box, and of those, two of them, of about, when there were as many as 15 or so fry, only two of them made it. One of them was pretty decent sized. Of the two, there was a size disparity, and I pointed that out in a previous video. But I released them. One of them I was pretty confident was big enough not to get eaten. The other one was still probably small enough to fit in the mouths of some of these other fish. But so I released them. I haven't seen them since. You know, like I said, I figured the bigger one was really alright, but I haven't seen it. I mean, it could still be in here, or maybe at some point I'll see a juvenile pop out. But yeah, so then I took out the breeder box, and then just after that, the next day, they were spawning like crazy. When I released them, it was just at the same time I did a water change, so that must have triggered their spawning, and they just kept at it constantly that day. And I collected a bunch of eggs. So I mean, just now looking in there, seeing all of the fry scurrying around, there's maybe 25 or so. I mean, I collected probably 40 eggs or so, I would say. And there's still some in there that are fungused over that didn't make it, and I destroyed a lot of them in the process, scraping them, because most of them, they were laying the eggs on the glass, and I would scrape them off with a razor blade, and unfortunately I wrecked a lot of them. I've done it a few times now, or several times now, and you'd think I'd get better as I go, but I'm getting worse. Yeah, so I was wrecking them with the razor blade. Some of them, one of them laid eggs on this corkscrew valsnera here, so I was able to get some of those, and that was actually one of the videos that I showed, that one. And some of them just got loose and were stuck to the little piece of gravel, so I just took the whole piece of gravel, and because I was wrecking so many with the razor blades, I used some catappa leaves. I put a big one back there with some small catappa leaves and tried to scrape those off. So there's some catappa leaves in here. And this big one, there was a batch of eggs laid back there, so I tried to protect them. I put this catappa leaf in here, and I believe, like, up until today, like through yesterday, the eggs were still there and looked like they were ready to hatch out. So I do believe they hatched out, but then who knows if the fry would have gotten eaten since then, or if they're going to be able to hide them. And they're really, really tiny, so they could just be in here somewhere. Maybe at some point I might just see some fry out in the open, but that did work as far as hiding them, the eggs anyway, hiding the eggs, because the eggs laid on the glass out in the open would get eaten. Even the Corydoras themselves, like, a female would lay eggs and then just start eating them right after, and then, you know, all these other fish too would prey on them. But alright, so enough of that rambling. Let's check out the Corydoras fry in here. So there's a catappa leaves there. When I first looked in here, like earlier today when I first checked, I saw a few moving around. I was like, alright, they're all hatching out. And then just moments ago I was looking in here and not seeing any movement, so I was wondering what was up. But then I just moved the catappa leaves, and then a bunch of them were hiding under there. So that's what they would do in the wild. They would just hide in leaf litter. So you can still see those, you know, white circles. Those are eggs that weren't viable or fungused over. And there's some on these water wisteria leaves. I was also using these to kind of scrape them off, so some stuck on those. So some would have hatched off those, but the ones that are still there, those white fungusy ones. But yeah, all right. So not seeing any movement right now, right? But let's try this. Should be able to see a bunch of them start running all over the place. There they go. See all that movement? So yeah, they're so tiny. But there's a bunch in there. They're like little ants. Even smaller than the ants. Just like scurrying around. Yeah, so here we go again. This time I'm feeling pretty good about how many there are. This is the most of any previous attempt that I've seen hatch out, so hopefully they'll be able to grow and I'll be able to get more. But I don't want to keep doing this in the breeder box because I keep failing. Different things happen. Fish get in there. Actually, while the eggs were in here, one of the swordtails got in here. Didn't seem to, maybe ate some eggs, but I don't know how long it was in there before I got it out. But there's still plenty of them in there. But what I want to do is set up a separate tank just for Corydoras fry. So I have a 5.5 gallon that hasn't had fish in it for a while. It has just plants and snails in it right now. I had previously had some guppies in there, carried in a shrimp, but I lost the shrimp population, and not too long ago the last of the guppies died. So yeah, I'm gonna reset that tank and then use it for a Corydoras grow out tank, and I'll just put the eggs in there and see if I can have better luck with that, because this is several times now that I've collected eggs from this tank, from the emerald green Corydoras, and also my peppered Corydoras in my 10-gallon tank, and even my 29-gallon tank I've seen panda Corydoras eggs. So there's some panda Corys that grew up in there, but I haven't tried to collect the eggs in a breeder box. Like one time at the same time these emerald green Corydoras laid eggs, I checked that tank and moved some of the eggs in the same breeder box, but lost those. Yeah, so that's the plan going forward. So I'll try to grow these out in here, and then hopefully that's actually what I intended this time around, but then they spawned too soon before I could get that 5.5 gallon ready. And like I said, it was like right after I took this out, and I had to put the breeder box back in. But yeah, I'll set up my 5.5 gallon. Try to something new, because I've been doing this with the breeder box and not getting a good success rate, so try a separate tank. Alright, well that's it for now. And remember, I'm Jeff, and I enjoy fishies. Thanks for watching.